Welcome back to This Week in Film. It's the weekly podcast where we get together and talk about the movies we've seen over the past 7 days. I'm Nick Panunto, joined as always by Midwest Matt Lauer. Matt, how's it going?
Going great, Nick. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Did you know that this is officially our 100th episode?
Dun, 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 dun.
We did it. We made it to 100.
Welcome to week 100.
Yep. And everything's going to be different from this point out.
Oh.
No.
Southwest Joe starts next week.
We did have some grand designs for this episode where we were going to talk to like the old co-hosts from the show, like Ray and Matt. But I just got lazy and never did it. So we might just do that at a later point because that's more our style.
Listeners, just enjoy that dedication.
Yep. Yeah, so week 100, 100 big episodes. Boy, it's hard to believe.
There's one small one, because there's that one time that you did that episode about the Batman movie.
Oh, yeah.
You were sick and you were home.
Yeah.
That one's a small one.
That was hard to do. I have not done a solo episode since, and I don't think I will again. Unless I start doing this comic book podcast I've been thinking about.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, Matt, what movies have you seen this week that we're going to talk about on the show?
I only saw one movie this week, and that was Glass.
Oh, excellent, because I also saw Glass. But because it's our 100th episode spectacular, I watched 3 other movies, too.
Holy cow.
Yep.
It looks like you're going to be talking solo anyway.
Yep. Well, we'll save Glass for last, but before we get to that, I saw The Matrix.
That's a good one.
Wreck-It Ralph.
Seen that too.
Reign of the Supermen.
Don't know what that is.
And Glass. So we'll get to all those, I guess, in a row. Then we'll talk about your movie.
Well, and we do have sort of 2 preview corners since we both went to the theater and saw Glass.
Right. Brought to you by the Big Ticket.
Good job, Big Ticket.
That's part of the legal for that, is that every time we mention preview corner, we have to say the sponsor. That's part of the contract that we signed.
A dramatic pause.
I took a sip. All right, so The Matrix, which was from 1999, was directed by the Wachowski brothers. I believe they're now called the Wachowski sisters. So that's confusing. And so if you haven't seen The Matrix, I don't know where you've been.
Yeah, where the hell have you been?
But the movie's 20 years old, which
awesome.
Kind of blows my mind. But basically, it's the story of Keanu Reeves. He's a computer hacker who learns that the guy he's searching for on the internet, this is kind of hard to explain. He lives inside a computer along with the rest of humanity, except for Lawrence Fishburne, who lives outside of the computer.
Well, yeah, that's, I'm sure that cleared it right up
for
people who don't know The Matrix.
So if you don't know The Matrix, just watch The Matrix, and then the rest of this conversation will make sense. But I watched it for the first time in quite some time, and what a great movie. It is.
Oh, yeah.
It is so good. It's deep, it's thoughtful, it's exciting, it's really, it's a lot of fun.
Got a great soundtrack.
Awesome soundtrack. Great acting, even from Keanu Reeves. It's Keanu Reeves at his most Keanu Reevesiest acting, where he just doesn't have a lot to say, but saves the world. So, like, any movie where Keanu Reeves has to save the world is a good movie. That's one of my my things about Keanu Reeves is if Keanu Reeves is in the process of saving the world, it's probably a good movie. And in this movie is no exception. But the special effects still hold up. Some of them are a little like look pretty bad now, but like they're forgivable.
Well, and they're still way better than the ones in the sequels.
Yeah. It's a shame they never made a sequel. And
yeah, I don't know what I was just talking about.
Yeah, you must be talking about the Animatrix, which I did enjoy.
Actually, that was pretty decent. Compared to what I imagined the sequels would have been like.
Yeah, it's a shame they never made a sequel to this movie. But we joke, of course, there were 2 sequels, and they were each worse and worse.
Yeah, they're terrible.
This movie features a very in shape Lawrence Fishburne, which is why I'm talking about the sequel right now, because is it the second or third one where they have the rave, the underground rave?
Oh man, I think they have it in both.
Do they have 2 of them?
They might. I'm not gonna watch to find out.
Yeah, no. But
we'll just go with they've got one in both. And I think the second one's got a sex scene.
Yeah, that's I was gonna mention that story too. But this trim and fit Lawrence Fishburne is quite the relief after seeing him with his giant pot belly in wherever he's like standing on top of a mountain at the bottom of the earth before the rave.
I don't remember that.
Oh, it's awful. much like most of that movie. I don't know if you remember.
No, I mean, like, I don't remember his pot belly. Unless that's what you're saying is awful.
Everything about the movies are awful. I don't know if you remember, but we went and saw this together the day it came out. But you went and saw it at midnight the night it came out.
You're talking about the sequel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I'm talking about The Matrix Reloaded. And you saw it the night before, and then I came up that day, and we went to go see it in the theater. And then, like, at one point, you lean over to me, and you go, "You get to see some butt coming up," implying like there's a sex scene coming up, and you'd get to see somebody's butt. And I was like, "Okay, cool, butt." And it was Keanu Reeves's butt. And you implied that it would be Carrie-Anne Moss's butt, which at the time was something I wanted to see. But I got to see Keanu Reeves' butt. So good one. We had some good times, didn't we?
Yeah, it must. Well, I was gonna say it must be good for you as a follow-up to Chris Pine and Kevin Costner, but I'm realizing you didn't just watch the second Matrix; you watched the first one.
Right, and there's
nobody's butt in the first.
There's nobody's butt in the first one, and there's one scene when Keanu Reeves disconnects from the computer, and where he like disconnects from the Matrix and all the plugs, like, and he gets drained out of his like pod. There's a scene where he falls, and my wife and I rewound it and paused it to see if we could see Keanu Reeves' junk. And you can't. He's wearing some sort of swimsuit or whatever, so that you don't see any of his man gland, which is a fun phrase. And
I'm impressed that you guys put in all that effort.
And so anyway, The Matrix. It's an amazing movie. If you haven't seen it, what's wrong with you? And if you have seen it, watch it again, because it really holds up, especially in today's crazy technology connected times.
Well, you know, one of the things, and I think you're hitting on this when you're talking about the acting or the casting, is like everything in this movie fits really well.
Yeah.
And like, well, I could just list things, be like the soundtrack fits, the visuals fit.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I think I've realized fits better than I thought it did at the time is like there are some really corny lines.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a moment where a woman calls him Copper Top because kind of like they're batteries for the machines.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, oh, what a stupid line. And, you know, given some space from it, 20 years, I'm like, you know, the corny stuff actually fits pretty well. There's a certain sort of, like, the movie is thought-provoking. It is serious in a sense, but it's also got a sense of humor.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And so
it's like a very serious drama, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. Unlike the sequels, which take themselves way too seriously.
Yeah, they're stroking themselves the whole time.
Yeah. Like the philosophy of this movie is real cool because it's not integral to the plot of the movie. It's just something you can think about afterwards, and enjoy the movie on another level. Whereas in the sequels, it spells everything out for you, and it says this is why this is. Like the whole conversation that Neo has with the old man underground about machines. Like, I don't remember what the hell they were talking about, but I do remember how hard I rolled my eyes listening to it.
Yeah, they get into, like, the first movie's very philosophy, I guess you could say philosophy heavy, but it's just sort of baked into everything.
Yeah.
And then in the sequel, in the second sequel, like you go from having interesting story built from philosophical ideas to having what it's like to sit with a philosophy major who's really proud of himself for being a philosophy major, talking to himself and enjoying hearing himself speak.
Right.
And it's not just one person. You've got like one character that they go to who talks and sounds really impressed with himself for, saying philosophical things. And then they go to somebody else and they're like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to have a philosophical monologue and look at how smart I sound.
Right.
I'm like, no, no, the first movie was smart. You're just enjoying yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Which is funny because nobody in the movie seems to actually be enjoying themselves.
Yeah, and the first one, everyone seems like they're having a fun time at work. Yeah. Like, it looked like in this first movie that they had a good time together.
Yeah, there's a lot of energy and chemistry.
Yeah, the chemistry between Keanu Reeves and Morpheus is great. There's not really a lot of chemistry between Neo and Trinity, other than she has to fall in love with him.
Well, the romantic chemistry is not really busting off the screen, but the teammate chemistry's there.
Yeah. It's and a lot of the stuff is tongue in cheek and like a lot of great lines that I realize I use all the time. Like when Twitch gets killed by Cypher and she's like, not like this. Not like this. I say that constantly.
What a mind job.
Yeah, what a mind job. It's only good for killing brain cells and degreasing gears.
When do you use that?
I don't. I just wanted to say it.
Okay. I walk around just being like, do you remember what Tasty Wheat tasted like?
Yeah.
All the time. Nobody knows what the hell I'm talking about.
I have looked for that kid actor. I guess he's not a kid. Mouse. Like, I have seen him in nothing else, but every time like an actor comes across that looks like him, I'm like, oh man, is that Mouse from The Matrix? And it's always not him.
Nope.
I don't think I wonder if he was ever in anything else. Let me see if I can find him in the cast.
Actually, surprisingly enough, it's he's Eddie Redmayne.
Matt Doran is his name, and he's best known for The Matrix. And he was in a Star Wars movie, and he was in The Thin Red Line, which is one of history's worst movies.
Never saw it.
It's awful.
Which Star Wars was he in?
Episode 2.
Oh, gross.
He plays some guy. Yeah. But yeah, The Matrix, it's a movie. It's 2 hours and 16 minutes long. Doesn't feel its length. Is fun to watch. Like, I've seen this movie probably 50 times. It's got to be close to 50 times. And watching it it's been a while since I've seen it, and watching it again, I was like, this is amazing work. It's amazing that it got made, first of all, because like the people who produced this movie can't have understood anything that was going on as far as the story. Like, it's a pretty heady story to just try to explain, let alone produce. I'd love for there to be a documentary, or if one exists, please point it to me, about the making of this movie, because they invented so many different kinds of filmmaking technologies in order to create this movie. Like bullet time was invented here, which I've seen how they make that, where they just set up a bunch of cameras basically in a circle around Keanu Reeves, and he does his like lean back arm wave thing. But like the technology involved with putting that shot together it blows your mind. And the kung fu is fun to watch. The gunplay is fun to watch. The slow motion with the techno music, it's just a lot of fun. It's a fun ass movie that like it just seems like it's like Fight Club, which incidentally came out the same year as this movie, which kind of blows my mind too. They both came out in '99, but like,
Really? I thought Fight Club was a couple years older. That's surprising.
Yeah, I think Fight Club came out winter of '99, and The Matrix came out in the summer of '99. Because I went and saw The Matrix in the theaters with Scott actually.
Oh, I saw it with Leslie.
Oh, like that's exciting.
Yeah, we were just hanging out and went to neither of us had heard of it. We were just at the mall and we were like, let's maybe see something or just go hang out.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple people from school came out of the theater while we were sitting outside the theater. And they're like, you guys got to see The Matrix. And I was like, I have no idea what that is. And they're like, oh, it's a Keanu Reeves movie. I was like, no, thanks. And they're like, there's a Rage Against the Machine song at the end. I was like, cool, let's go. and then I was so stoked by the end. I was like, man, I want to go learn Kung Fu.
Yeah,
like
I remember,
motivates you.
I remember leaving that theater feeling like I could walk on air. Like that's the feeling the movie gave me, was like I could fight kung fu fighting. Like it when you left the theater after seeing that the first time, like the feeling
kind of
that
don't
I had,
believe in physics anymore.
Yeah, it was really an amazing feeling. Like I wish I could see this movie for the first time again. But yeah, The Matrix. Check it out.
Yeah. 2 thumbs up from both of us.
2
so
thumbs
like
way
4
up.
thumbs up.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult to see where I put this on my great list. Oh, but I was talking about Fight Club. Let me get back to that point real quick.
Sure.
Fight Club on its surface just seems like a movie about guys that beat the crap out of each other and try to go about their everyday life, and then it devolves into the Project Mayhem stuff. But like when you really look at Fight Club on a deeper level, it's a lot of philosophical stuff and a lot of interesting head things. So it's strange that 2 of the more important movies to me came out within 6 months of each other. That's really what I had. Oh, and then if you scroll down to where it says more like this on IMDb, Fight Club is right there, right next to Fellowship of the Ring.
Oh yeah, that's just like The Matrix.
Yeah. Let's see. When was this released? It was released March 31st, 1999. Yeah. So, The Matrix. See it. That brings us to the next movie, Wreck-It Ralph. From 2012.
More like this.
Yeah.
Fight Club and Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah. Wreck-It Ralph from 2012.
Sort of. Because he's in the internet, right? Or no, that's just in the sequel.
I mean, like all the computer games are kind of networked together through electricity. That's how they all get to talk to each other.
There's a link.
Starring John C. Reilly, Jack McBrayer, Sarah Silverman, and Jane Lynch. This is the story of Ralph, who is a video game character for like an 80s arcade machine. And he's the bad guy. And it's, I think, the 30th anniversary of his video game. And he's talking to other villains from other video games like Street Fighter and Mario Brothers and Pac-Man. And he's talking about how it's the 30th anniversary of his game, and he's kind of tired of being the bad guy. He wants to get a medal like the good guy in his game, Fix-It Felix. He wants to win a medal like Felix does just once. And
Ralph and Felix are like human counterparts to Donkey Kong and Mario, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you want to look at it, that's perfect. That's a perfect analogy. You've done it. You've cracked the code.
Hey, yay!
So like imagine 30 years of Donkey Kong like trying to kill Mario. And he goes, well, I want to be the good guy for once. And this is assuming that a game like Donkey Kong Country doesn't exist, because it does, where Donkey Kong gets to be a hero. So Ralph goes on this journey to find not only himself, but to gets some meaning in his life. And along the way, he runs into Sarah Silverman.
Vanellope.
Yeah, Vanellope von Schmidt.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't have her full name in the cast list. And she's like this glitchy character for this racing game. And so like they go on this journey together where she just wants to race, and Alan Tudyk, who plays King Candy, doesn't want her to race because if she does, everything will get erased or something like that. I don't know. Something like that. Like, because she's glitchy, people will complain about the game and they will shut the game down. So like that's the conflict there with John C. Reilly and Alan Tudyk and Sarah Silverman is will they work together to get Vanellope to race, or will they cave in to King Candy? And this movie's a lot of fun. It's not nearly as heady as I'm making it out to be. It's a video game movie, but it's deeper than it is. Like The Matrix. After you watch it, you think about it. Yeah, it's not just a cartoon. Like it's it's kind of like Toy Story a little bit, where you think, oh, what are my toys doing when I'm not there? Like what are your video games doing when you're not playing them? And it's a fun adventure. I still haven't seen the sequel. I'm looking forward to that. But
I'll agree with the things that Nick said, with the exception of like The Matrix.
Wreck-It Ralph is. I agree with Matt.
It's fun.
I agree with Matt. It's just like The Matrix.
Right. Exactly.
And it's a lot of fun. And the main song from it gets stuck in my head all the time, even when I haven't seen the movie. My kids really like the movie.
There are songs in that?
It's just that Sugar Rush song.
Oh man, I don't remember that at all.
Sugar Rush, and it's like Japanese because it's like a Japanese game, so it's like SUGAR. That's my Japanese, and it gets stuck in my head all the time.
Sounded a little bit like a Weezer song there for a second.
That's just because Weezer rocks. Apparently, they put out a new album the other day of all covers, which I'm looking forward to hearing. The end.
I didn't know albums still came out.
Yeah, albums still come out. In fact, I was listening to the latest Eminem album the other day.
I haven't gotten around to that one yet.
I didn't know he put out 2 albums last year.
Oh.
And I was listening to the second one, and I was like, "This is amazing. I'd like to see what a review of this is." And I went to Rolling Stone to see the review, and the guy was trashing it. And I was like, "What? How can you be trashing this? This is amazing. Are you listening to it?" And he's like, and they're saying how the rap game is leaving Eminem behind, and I'm like, "Well, let it go then, because what he's doing right here, it blows the mind." So,
the last one I got from him was the Marshall Mathers LP 2, which I liked a lot.
Oh, I don't think I ever listened to that one either.
Oh, that's worth checking out, man.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah. And that is Eminem Corner.
Eminem Corner. If you would like to sponsor one of our corners, check us out on Patreon. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about Wreck-It Ralph, unless there's stuff you wanted to throw in. It's a
I don't really have much to add.
It's a fun adventure movie.
Yeah.
It's got a huge cast of people, like all of the main characters you've all heard of, like Mindy Kaling and Joe Latrulio, Ed O'Neill, Dennis Haybert, Adam Carolla. Just like a bunch of play like these little tiny characters, but it adds like a whole life to the world. Like that opening sequence where he's talking to all the villains in that like villain anon group, where he's like, "Hi, I'm Ralph. Hi, Ralph." And like Zangief from Street Fighter's there, and he says just because you're a bad guy doesn't make you a bad guy. And like that's nice. That's pretty deep. It's a fun movie, and my kids like it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was cute. I don't really like Sarah Silverman, but I thought she did nice voiceover work. I like the character. Yeah, I think I got around to watching it sort of without really having had much interest. Like people told me it was good, so eventually I was just like, I've got a moment here. I'll watch it. But yeah, I'd say it's like a solid B, maybe B plus.
Okay. That's all I got to say about that. That brings me to number 3, Reign of the Supermen, which came out like earlier this month, and it's a DC Comics animated movie, which takes place after the Death of Superman movie from a few months ago. I don't remember if I talked about that on the show.
You did.
I did? Okay. This is the direct sequel to that. And it's like I can't stand the way these DC movies are produced. Like I like what they're doing. I wish they did it better. And while I was watching the movie today, I was just bored with it. And I figured out what kills me about this movie. It's one, and I think I've said this before, it's like that the voice actors are clearly all recording their lines separately from one another. But
yeah, you did say that before on the other ones.
But what I've really figured out is that anytime a character talks, there's like a 1 second gap between when the next character talks. It's like they read a line like, "No, Lex Luthor." Well, why not? It's because of Superman. Like there's like this gap every time somebody goes to talk. There's just no sense of urgency in the dialogue and the way that it's delivered. And it really kills any kind of momentum that the movie starts to put together. Like some of the action sequences are kind of neat. And they just get like they get ripped apart when the characters have to talk to each other because the action has to stop for them to look at each other, to speak, pause, and then the next person speaks.
That sounds right. That sounds familiar. I hadn't thought about it before, but I feel like as you're explaining it, I'm like, yeah, I can picture that pretty perfectly.
Yeah, and like looking back at like the Gotham by Gaslight animated picture, the Batman one, I remember trying to figure out like, why don't I like this? This should be okay. And it's because of the way the dialogue's delivered. It's like they read a line of dialogue and then they record it. They like they digitize it and save that file for later. And then they go, okay, now read the next line. And they read a line of dialogue and then they wait. And I think that's really what kills the movie is the audio presentation. It just doesn't flow. It just feels so stilted. Mm-hmm. But if you're unfamiliar, Reign of the Supermen covers the final act of the Death of Superman story arc, where Superman has died. Spoiler alert: Superman died fighting the monster Doomsday, and in the wake of that, these 4 Supermen pretenders or not pretenders appear in Metropolis. One is a teenager, one is a man in an iron suit, one is like a half man, half robot or cyborg, and another is this brutal guy who wears ski goggles. And they call them their Superboy, Steel, the Eradicator, and the Cyborg. And those are the 4 Supermen. And we're supposed to try and figure out which of these 4 people is the real Superman, because the body of Superman was stolen from its crypt. So no one knows where the real Superman is, or where his body is, or if these guys are the real thing.
Are they all claiming to be the real one?
Yeah, they're all claiming to be the real one, except for Superboy, who they reveal early on is just a clone of Superman. And so like he's like, well, I'm definitely Superman then because I am him. And
it's a pretty solid argument.
Yeah, and the voice actor they got to play Superman or Superboy is awful. He's just really bad. And they stray from the comic book a little bit, or at least from the main storyline. Because I've read this, the Death of Superman storyline is what got me into comic books when I was a kid. Like the first comic book I ever had was the Death of Superman trade paperback, and I loved it. I loved Funeral for a Friend, which is the where they put him in the ground and like Batman's at his funeral but doesn't do anything. He kind of hides, and then the Return of Superman, which is where the Supermen show up. I thought that was all great. Like I'm like 10 or 12, and I'm like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever read. Give me more. So like I've even read the novel of it. I think it's called The Death and Return of Superman. And it's a great book. If you haven't read it, it's an awesome book. I love it.
Is it written by the same guy that wrote Nightfall?
I don't think so, but that's another awesome book.
Yeah.
And the Nightfall book covers the Batman Bane storyline, which is nothing like The Dark Knight Rises. But
except for that his back's broken.
Yeah. But like no amount of push-ups will fix Batman's back in the book. I think it takes magic, doesn't it?
I don't know that there's magic, but there's more than a tire swing.
Yeah. Yeah. So this Reign of the Supermen movie, it's not very good, but it's not bad. I did find myself bored an awful lot watching it. Rainn Wilson plays Lex Luthor, and his performance is boring. Like, all the dialogue is delivered boring, especially for the cast that they have. Like, Rosario Dawson plays Wonder Woman, and I don't really care for Rosario Dawson, but I do think she's a good actress.
Do you?
Yeah, I think she does a good job.
I don't disagree. I just knew you didn't like her.
I just don't care for her personally, but I think she's a pretty good actress. Like, I think she's really good in Daredevil and all the other Netflix Marvel shows, because she's in all of those. I think she's good. I just don't like her. Like, Nathan Fillion plays Green Lantern. I can't stand Jason O'Mara's Batman. And Jerry O'Connell plays Superman / Clark Kent, and he's not very good. Rebecca Romijn plays Lois Lane, and she's not very good. She's also, I don't care for the Lois Lane character anymore. Like, I think she just needs to go away. I know she never will, because whenever there's a Superman story, for whatever reason, Lois Lane needs to be in the thick of it, and because we live in modern times instead of foreign or historical times, because we live in modern times, Lois Lane can't be saved by Superman. She has to save Superman because that empowers her in some way. And that's how this movie ends. Lois Lane saves Superman. Superman comes back, spoiler alert. And he's saved by the actions of Lois Lane. And I'm like, I mean, did we just have Lois Lane there to save Superman? Like, I mean, she could have just not been there at all.
Now, if any listeners want to write in and complain about how Nick thinks a woman's place is in the kitchen, feel free. Just know that it's just Nick.
Look, all I'm saying is I agree with Matt that after the fight, Superman's going to be hungry, and maybe there should be a sandwich waiting there for him.
Does he eat?
Superman, he eats. Yeah, he eats. I don't think he has to, but he does eat.
I don't think I've ever seen Superman eat anything.
I'm trying to remember. Like, I'm sure he does. I know there's an episode of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. He shaves. He has to shave using
Dean Cain?
With Dean Cain. He has to shave using his heat vision because real razors aren't strong enough to cut his hair. And I was like, that's pretty clever.
How does he trim the back of his head?
Exactly. But like that brings up from Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. There's like a Superman exhibit at the Smithsonian, and they're showing how strong Superman's hair is.
Oh, right.
And it's like able to suspend 10,000 pounds of a single strand of Superman's hair. And Lex Luthor comes over and he's like, we need that hair so that we can clone Superman. And him and John Cryer are like, okay. So they go to this indestructible hair and just snip it with a simple pair of scissors, which is...
As you would.
Like the hair is so strong that it can hold 10,000 pounds, but it can be cut with simple scissors. So Superman's powers are varied, you know.
They're questionable.
Yeah. I think in Superman 1, when Lois Lane's interviewing him, she asks him if he eats, and he's like, I do, but I don't really remember his response. It's like how he doesn't really need to breathe either. Like, he can hold his breath for forever.
Huh.
Yeah. But
maybe he's an amphibian and he breathes through his skin.
yeah, but when he's in space, he doesn't breathe.
Well, he's like a space amphibian.
Oh, he breathes space.
Yeah.
He feeds off the vacuum.
Exactly. And light particles.
Yeah, and that's how the movie ends. Like so I'm not going to get into it.
And it ends.
Yeah,
just trust him.
The movie ends, and then the movie strays a lot from the source material, which is fine because they're trying to tell a much larger story involving the Justice League. And even though the Justice League is in this movie for about 3 minutes, and they kind of bastardize the story a little bit so that it fits into the story, the larger story that they're trying to tell involving Darkseid and the planet Apocalypse. And excuse me, and it just doesn't work for me. Like I'm just kind of bored watching it. Just give me the comic that I read and animate the comic. Just word for word, animate the comic for me. That's all I want.
I think DC should just not make anything for 10 years. They're just trying to catch up all the time.
Well, see, their animated stuff is it's just missing the mark for me. And I know some people that really like their animated stuff, and some of it is very good. There's like some of those Justice League movies are great, but like the ones that are directed by, who's the guy that directed Sam something directed this? Sam Liu, Liu. He's directed like the last few Justice League / Superman movies. I don't think he's doing a good job. I just don't care for the result.
Well, I stand by my recommendation. I think if they just did years and just gave themselves some time to have things simmer, then what they would come out with would be actually good.
I will say that the DC animated stuff is leaps and bounds ahead of the Marvel animated movies, which I don't think they've put out in a while. But like the animated movie stuff from Marvel was garbage.
And I know there are a lot of them on Netflix, or there were anyway. But I don't know how new they are.
Yeah, maybe there's
Iron Man.
Yeah, there's like one like with him and the Hulk, and I looked at the IMDb rating for it, and it's like a 4.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I'm like, they should stop making those, but they won't because people keep buying them. Anyway, Reign of the Supermen.
People.
Reign of the Supermen. Check it out.
I don't. Do you recommend it?
No,
Okay.
I mean, if you're
check it out after everything now?
If you're interested, yeah, that's my thing now. If you're interested in the Death of Superman story, it's fun to watch. The character of Steel they handle pretty well, but he's in the movie briefly, and it points out that like DC had themselves like a real the way they handle the Steel character, it's almost like he's DC's Iron Man. And it feels like he's copying Iron Man, but then you think, man, if DC had thought this out like a little better in the early 90s, they could have like gone with this instead
made a movie from it.
Well,
they did.
They did.
Just Shaquille O'Neal.
I know, and it's a masterpiece. I've actually never seen it.
Me neither. I've seen clips of it, and like his suit's so rubber, it's just silly.
Yeah.
Like when he talks, like the cheek parts move and like kind of stick off his face.
The helmet looks too small for his head, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like in this movie, Lois Lane figures out who he is, like just so the story can continue. She's just in his apartment, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" She's like, "I'm terrible with secret identities, but I know yours." And you're like, "Okay, great. Let's move on." And speaking of superheroes, that brings us to tonight's blue chip, Glass, directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
Following Preview Corner.
Right. Brought to you by The Big Ticket.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
I can, but it's...
Okay.
All right, it's better now. All right. Preview Corner, brought to you by The Big Ticket.
Yeah, Big Ticket.
Yeah. Why don't you go first? Because I've been talking for 40 minutes.
Fair enough. The first preview I had a preview. The first movie I saw a preview for is called Greta. and I have no idea what it was. Oh yeah, Zoe Grace Moretz. Is that right? Zoe Grace Moretz?
I don't have any idea.
Grace Moretz?
I don't know who that is.
Chloe or Zoe Grace Moretz. She's a young blonde lady.
They call her Clozo.
No.
Clozo the clown.
She was in 30 Rock as Donaghy's opponent. Like, she was the daughter or granddaughter of the Cabletown guy. She's been in stuff since. She was in the remake of Carrie. She's a decent actress. I think she's also a model. Oh yeah, she was in Kick-Ass. She was the girl. What was she called? Kick Girl? Fight Girl?
The young girl?
Yeah.
Oh,
Her.
That's the girl from Kick-Ass? She was on 30 Rock?
Yeah.
Oh.
And
Hit Girl.
Hit Girl.
Yeah.
There we go. And she, if I understood the preview right, she sees an old lady looking for her purse, and then the old lady asks her for help, and then somehow befriends her, invites her back to her house or something. And then she sees there's a bunch of purses in the house and that this is some sort of ploy, and it's more of a horror thing than like a con man thing. And that's all I got.
Okay.
It didn't look particularly good. I'm not excited that it's coming out. How about you?
Well, the first thing that I saw was another trailer for Alita Battle Angel.
Oh, good grief.
And
I got it come out already.
And I think it comes out in February.
Man.
And
okay, good.
And I got to say that this trailer was the first one that made me want to see it again.
Oh, okay.
Like I initially wanted to see it when I was first hearing about it, and then like a few trailers came out and I was like, maybe not. But like, I don't know, something about the way this trailer hit me. I was like, oh, okay, I think I kind of get it. Oh, I'm into it. So,
I think this wasn't a trailer where Robert Rodriguez is begging you to go to the theater.
No, that came up later.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Alita Battle Angel, kind of interested in seeing it now. I don't think I'm going to see it in theaters, but when it comes out on video, I think I'll give it a watch.
Yeah,
I think it's because I don't know anything about the plot or if it's based on anything. Like, is it based on some anime?
No idea.
And I didn't realize like it's got kind of a two-tiered life system. Like there's like the upper class who live in an island in the sky, and then the lower class people who live on the earth, and she gets pulled out of the trash from the upper class people, and I guess she has to fight her way through like gladiatorial means in order to like find out where she came from, kind of a thing. And I was like, oh, all right, I'm on board for this little journey.
Mm-hmm. That summary doesn't do anything more for me, but I'll probably watch it when it comes out on video. If there's nothing else in the theater, I'll probably end up seeing it in the theater just to see something.
Uh-huh.
But otherwise, if I can put it off till video, I totally will. And if I never end up seeing it, it'll probably be fine too.
Okay.
But I've seen a lot of previews for it at this point. Next one I saw was John Wick 3.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I still have not gotten around to seeing John Wick 2.
Oh, no?
No, not yet. And I
Okay.
probably should. I mean, it took me like 8 years to get around to seeing the first John Wick, which is probably amazing because it's not even that old. I don't know. But I will say that I am interested in seeing John Wick 3. It's got Morpheus in it. And at some point, John Wick is on a horse. And Halle Berry shows up.
Yeah, which kind of turned me off a little bit.
I can't say I have much appreciation for Halle Berry anymore. She's still a very attractive woman, but I don't think I've seen her in anything that has made me actually like her at all.
Yeah.
Morpheus, I was glad to see there. He's got a name.
He's in
Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, he's in the second one briefly. He plays he plays like the pigeon lady from Home Alone 2.
Oh, interesting character to throw in there.
The second John Wick is okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's not as good as the first one, but few things are. But as far
third
as
one looks like it's going to be pretty good. As far as like the action goes, there's some pretty cool stuff thrown in there.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. Like, I like the second one. I mean, as far as sequels go, it's above the average sequel. But like the thing that kind of gets away from it is that, and it gets revealed towards the end of the movie, is that everyone is a hitman. Like, all of New York City is a hitman, or they all belong to this secret society, and it kind of like loses some of the appeal for me. As far like the world building that they do in the first one kind of gets over explained a little bit, and you're like, yeah,
it's a little bit better when you're filling in the gaps yourself.
Exactly. But still amazing action sequences. And I'm sure we've talked about it on the show before, but like his motivation in the second one isn't as crystal clear as it is in the first one. It's a little muddier, and I don't feel like it works as well.
Is it less personal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's definitely worth seeing. It's a fun action movie.
I'll probably get around to it shortly before the third one comes out, just so I can go see the third one and not have skipped one.
All right.
What did you see next?
The next trailer I saw was The Best of Enemies, which is
I did not see the same previews.
No. It was a trailer for a movie that takes place in I want to say the 70s. I can't remember exactly. I think they spell it out in the trailer too, and I still forget. But it takes place in the 70s, and I don't know the actress's name, but the actor is Sam Rockwell, and he's playing a racist. He's a Ku Klux Klan leader for like a local chapter, and the lead actress is a black woman who's trying to desegregate their schools, and basically it's the story of these two people, and watching the trailer, you know how the whole movie's going to play out.
Like they're going to become friends.
They kind of become friends. Like they're forced to work together for whatever reason. And like Sam Rockwell even has the line. He's like, I'm the leader of the Ku Klux Klan. I'm supposed to hate black people. If I don't hate you, then who am I? And I'm like, well, I kind of got the whole movie now. You're going to become friends, and then somebody's going to take your title away from you, and you're going to have like a weird moment where you're like, but I still want to be in the Klan. And then you're like, but I don't believe in the Klan anymore. All right, black people should get to go to school. And you're like, yay, the white guy made a good decision. And the black lady is like, hooray, my kids get to go to school again. And you're like, yay, I guess. I mean, everybody should get to go to school together. I feel like
that's Nick's hot take on equality.
Yeah. Everyone is equal and deserves an equal shot at everything.
I get you there. The message is solid. The movies could be a little bit more nuanced or complex.
I mean, and maybe it is. Maybe the trailer is just like meant to spray to like a broad audience of what they're going for. But like, because I usually like everything Sam Rockwell does, and it looks like he's doing a great job in this movie, and so does the lead actress. But like the trailer just spells out the entire movie for you. You're like, I know what's going to happen. You know, at some point someone shoots up their house, and so in the trailer they show that someone shoots up their house, and it's implied that it's the black lady's house, and you're supposed to think, oh, okay. And then they go to Sam Rockwell, and he looks disturbed by the news he's receiving, which means that, oh, Sam Rockwell did not have anything to do with the ordering of the black people's house being shot upon. And so that's going to be like the main turning point for his character. And you're like, I've already put this movie together in my head.
Okay. Probably won't be going to the theater to have that quote unquote blow my mind.
Best of Enemies. Check it out.
Best of Enemies. Okay, I saw another preview for Pet Sematary, and I'm going to skip it.
Okay.
So I saw another preview for X-Men Dark Phoenix with some really shitty Doors cover. The song The End, which is like one of the best Doors songs, has been redone by someone without talent. And
I got no interest in that movie.
I still never saw Apocalypse, and I don't care to.
Don't. It's really, really bad. We should do a commentary track for it.
Well, you know what? That's better than some of the other things you've suggested for commentary tracks, so that's fine. I will say that I'm surprised to see that Jennifer Lawrence is still in these movies.
So am I.
So I've heard so much about how she hates it and how like it shows. Yep. And I just don't understand. But that's it. That was the deepest thought I had walking away from the preview was, wow, Jennifer Lawrence is still going in these things.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, and it's just a paycheck for her, you know. Like she's like, well, you're just gonna keep giving me money, and I'm just gonna keep showing up. James McAvoy would be, and who's Magneto? Fassbender.
Michael.
Yeah, those were like the best parts of First Class, which I think is a great movie. It's better than average. I wouldn't say it's great.
It's pretty good.
I liked it a lot.
I enjoyed it.
Days of Future Past was great. I thought that was great. But Apocalypse is just garbage. Just garbage. And no good job by James McAvoy is going to pull that out of the... And you got Magneto just floating in the sky for half the movie, concentrating.
Nah.
Check it out.
All right, what do you got?
The next movie that they showed me a trailer for was Fighting with My Family, which I think you talked about last week.
And I saw another preview for that, so I can erase that from my list.
Okay. I'm kind of interested in seeing it. Like I'm a vague, like I'm about as low of a WWE fan as it gets, but like a bunch of my friends are into it on a certain level.
Really?
Yeah, like Lou and Pat, like I don't know if you remember Pat Shields, but like Lou and Pat, they're really into wrestling, and like every so often we all get together for a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I remember Pat.
Yeah, he
listens to the show, right?
I think so. He just got married.
Yeah, I remember Pat.
Yeah. He just got married. Congratulations, Pat and Heather.
Congratulations, Pat.
But like every so often we'll get together for a pay-per-view, and those guys all watch like Raw every week or whatever. And then like when I hang out with them and we're hanging out for wrestling reasons, I'll ask and get caught up on the latest wrestling storylines. And they're all terrible, but like I can respect the athleticism involved in wrestling. And the soap opera storylines are fun to follow along with. Like when I was in college, we watched Raw a lot. So I like wrestling to an extent. So this movie had me interested.
Would you be interested if Nick Frost wasn't in it?
No. No. And the fact that The Rock is featured so heavily in the trailer, even though he's probably in the movie for probably all that the trailer shows,
right.
Because it's a WWE movie. They're probably just trying to pull as many people in as they could.
Yeah, actually,
because I haven't seen any of the other WWE films that they've produced.
I didn't even know they made any others. But with the scene with him like yelling at the kid and being like, "Yeah, here's my advice to you: shut the hell up and turn around and whatever," and then see ya. I was like, yeah, that's not. No, that's. I actually was. I'm kind of interested in the movie. I couldn't tell you why. It's probably just Nick Frost. But that scene, I was like, oh, that's actually between that and Vince Vaughn being in it. There's a lot of annoying to make me be hesitant.
Yeah, I wonder what Nick or Vince Vaughn we're gonna get. It could be the good Vince Vaughn, but I doubt it.
Oh, there's a good one.
Yeah, I like some Vince Vaughn. Like Dodgeball Vince Vaughn is perfect.
Yeah, I enjoyed Dodgeball. Miss Bala. I saw an advertisement for a movie named Miss Bala. I started.
Oh, I saw a trailer for that too. I don't remember anything about it.
Well, allow me to tell you. I think one thing I'm going to do whenever possible, when I don't know what a movie is yet, I'm going to try to give it an alternate title before I figure out what it is.
Uh-huh.
And in this one, I decided this movie should be called Hostage Club.
Oh, now I know it. Now I remember what movie it is.
See? That's why it should be called that. I'm telling you, I'm better at this than they are. It looked like it is a girl who is forced to blow up a building by a terrorist organization if she ever wants to see her sister again.
Yeah.
Then goes undercover to uncover the that organization in order to get her sister back. And along the way seems to get romantically involved because that's necessary. Possibly with people in the FBI or whatever the undercover organization is and the crime organization.
Yeah.
And it looked like shit, so that's all I got to say.
It did look like just garbage.
Yeah.
Like it looked like poor man's Sicario. Have you seen Sicario?
Not yet.
Sicario's cool. I haven't seen the sequel yet. But it looked like a poor man's Sicario where they're like, we're going to introduce you to this life of crime. But like brought to you by Sony.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the feel. What did you see a preview for?
The next thing I saw a trailer for was Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Oh, that's what I have next, aka UFO Attack.
Yeah.
Because I named it in the first 5 seconds of it, and then I was like, oh, wait, no, this is Godzilla.
Yeah. I got no interest in this movie. I'm still gonna see it, but like I finally figured out I finally figured out why I don't like it, and I think I may have mentioned it before, but it's because it's just a bunch of human characters looking up, going, "Oh no!" and then computer generated images fighting with each other, and there's no weight behind any of the action that is occurring, and it just seemed boring.
I would love to go and just see those CGI monsters fight each other if it's done in a way that the cinematography makes me feel like they're really big. And that's what I enjoyed about the last Godzilla. And from the preview, I did not see much of that. Like there was not anything that gave me a real I mean, there were buildings next to them, but nothing that really made them feel big. Like, while I want to see all of Godzilla, one of the things that really worked in the other movie was that, like, you only got to see a part of him at a time, and from angles that really made you feel like, I'm trying to look up, but it's so big I can't see it.
Right.
And I wasn't really getting that from this preview, but I did like seeing Mothra, and I think the other one's called Hydra or something like that.
Deidre or something like that.
Oh, that might be right. So I'm kind of looking forward to it, but I'm hoping that it's actually does what the first one did for me.
Well, that's
but
good.
I think the things you're saying are still right. I'm not looking forward to having them try to paint a human story around the monsters.
Yeah, I mean, I like in the trailer where it's like the U.S. Senate or something, and they're like, "You're saying that we should make Godzilla our pet," and what's his name says, "No, we would be his pet." I'm like, oh, that's kind of a interesting take. I like that. And I like anything that actor says in English. Like, it just has like a certain gravitas to it. Like, I
like
wish
a British accent sounding smart.
Right. It's just something about like his Chinese accent speaking English that just is, I'm like, just keep talking, man. You're going to convince everyone of everything.
Pretty sure it's Japanese.
I thought he was a Chinese actor. My fault. Moving on. Check it out.
What'd you see next?
So I said Miss Bala, and then Happy Death Day to You.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the first Happy Death Day, but I've, for whatever reason, I guess because the sequel's coming out, but like I've been hearing a lot about it and how it was great. Did you see it?
No, and I've been mentioning it a lot because I keep running across this preview and how I've heard that the first one it's not brilliant, but it's like a tongue-in-cheek, fun movie, knows what it is and knows how to work with it.
It's like Groundhog's Day, the horror movie.
Well, yeah, exactly. And my note next to this says, Happy Death Day 2. Why do I keep not watching the first one?
Yeah, exactly. Well, then that brings me to like the next trailer that I saw a movie for. Why haven't I watched the first one yet? Are we done with Happy Death Day to You?
Other than to say that since that is on my list. I'm actually going to try to watch that this week. So if you get around to watching it too, then we can both review it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll try and make that happen.
Hopefully it's available on any streaming service.
I'm sure that it is.
Good.
And then what's the next trailer you saw?
Well, you were saying that that actually brought you to another one that you didn't see the first one of.
Yes. It was a trailer for the movie Us.
Yep, that's the last one I saw.
Yeah, and it just reminded me that last week I said I was going to watch Get Out this week, and
you didn't.
I didn't. The one night that my wife and I had time to watch a movie, I was like, I don't want to watch anything. So we watched 2 hours of the TV show Poldark, which, if you haven't seen Poldark,
I've never heard of it.
it's a PBS show, like a British show. It takes place in post-Revolutionary War England. The first 2 episodes are kind of tough to get through, and then episode 3, it just takes off.
Oh.
Poldark is a cool show. Anyway, Us. It looked kind of interesting. Like, I kind of want to see it, much in the same way I kind of want to see Get Out, even though everyone tells me how great it is. I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it.
Yeah, I totally want to see Us. I'm pretty sure I'll be at the theater for that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah.
And then, I described it last week, so I won't get
into it either. But the next thing that they showed was that Alita commercial that you saw last week, where Robert Rodriguez
the desperate one.
Yeah, Robert Rodriguez. Please go see Alita. I haven't had a hit in so long. A producer.
Was it? Oh, you didn't know who it was? It wasn't like Ridley Scott or
no. I mean, James Cameron is there. He's one of the guys that show up, but I don't know who the third guy is.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know there was a third guy. Yeah, James Cameron. That's what I was like. I know I recognize that guy, but I wasn't sure which.
And I realized watching that commercial that I had never seen Robert Rodriguez before, and in my head he looked so much cooler.
In my head, I always pictured Guillermo del Toro.
I always pictured Antonio Banderas because they made so many movies together, but like I just assumed that they would also look alike.
I'm pretty sure we're both racist.
Unintentional racism's the best racism.
All right, let's edit all that out.
That's staying in. And then the Coke commercial I got was just that nacho cheese pizza face alien commercial we've already talked about.
I'm so tired of that one.
Yeah. I haven't gotten to see any of your very aggressive Diet Coke commercials.
I think they gave it up. I think they realized that there's nobody trying to stop anyone from drinking Diet Coke, and that when people don't drink it, it's just because they don't like the taste.
Right.
All right. So there you go, big ticket. You got your money's worth there.
Yeah.
Glass.
All right. Now.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, absolutely.
But don't go see it.
I disagree. I loved it.
Okay.
Oh, man. I loved it.
Oh. Well, this is going to go in 2 different directions.
I thought it was great.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
Oh, boy.
All right.
Well, let's
you didn't like it?
Let's start with the plot.
Okay.
The plot is the characters from the other movies. Some dumb lady's trying to convince them they're not superheroes for about 2 hours.
Right. She's the worst part of this movie.
Oh, and she's most of the movie.
She is. Like, here's a question that I do have for you. Who's the main character of this movie?
That fucking lady.
Is it? Is that who's supposed to be the main character?
Oh, who's supposed to be? I don't think anyone knows the answer to that.
Yeah, the movie does not have a main character because
I think she has the most time on the screen, and the people I think know that folks like watching James McAvoy do tricks. So he's on the screen a lot too.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And
I would say it's
it's
between James McAvoy and the Sarah Paulson who plays the doctor.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely not Samuel L. Jackson, and it's definitely not Bruce Willis.
Afterthought Willis. Yeah.
I will say that in this movie, Bruce Willis looks like he cares a little bit, like, and that's nice to see again. It's been a long time since Bruce Willis looked like he cared he was in a movie.
He seemed slightly interested, and I was interested in seeing him, and then we don't.
Yeah,
because he's barely in the movie.
He's barely in the movie, and when he is, he's sitting in the corner of a room.
And
all that said, still loved it. I loved it until the end. The last 20, 25 minutes of the movie I don't really care for. But yeah, we were talking about the plot of the film.
No, we weren't talking about the plot. That was the plot. Characters from movies together to be bored into not feeling strong. Almost happens for no reason. Because she does nothing interesting, nothing compelling that would convince them of anything. It's just at some point they're like, maybe I'm not super. And then without actually, and I'm talking, I guess the beast guy sort of questions it a little bit. Bruce Willis does for half a second, and then it's like, well, I got to get through this door, so I should probably go ahead and do my superhero thing. Okay, done. Oh, wait, did I die in a puddle? Oops.
Yeah, I loved it.
and the plot of this, or the idea of this whole like brainwashing them thing is this woman has 3 days.
3 days. Now here's the thing. This is what I was thinking about when I saw the movie, is that you're a mental health professional.
That's true.
You're a doctor of the mind.
That is true.
And yeah, listeners, if you didn't know, Midwest Matt is a doctor. And
hi.
He says the F word. And do it.
I do. Fuck.
And I was like, Matt, you've worked in some pretty intense situations with some pretty out there individuals. My words, not yours.
Definitely not my words.
Yeah. You've worked with some what you would call crazos. And,
oh, God. No.
But you have worked with some pretty intense individuals.
I've worked in a hospital, so where there's some intensity to people's struggles. Yeah.
Now, how many times were you given only 3 days to diagnose an entire wing's worth of people to make a decision about the future of their lives?
Well, she's not even trying to diagnose them. That's not what she has 3 days to do. They're giving her 3 days to change them.
Oh, really? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, she's not there to try to figure out. She already knows that they're superheroes. And even as her character, because, there's a twist, even if she's pretending that she's trying to help them or whatever, like, she's not even pretending she's trying to diagnose them. She's just going, hey, here's what you have. I'm going to fix you. And I'm sorry. So from there, you were wondering what?
Oh no, that's really
happens.
It. Yeah, like how often does that happen? Where like a super cop or super psych is brought in to like solve all of the mental institutions problem patients.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Also, how often is due process denied to individuals who get arrested?
I don't know about the law side of things, so I can't answer to that. But when it comes to making,
then we have to admit that the movie got it right. Then,
no. But as a mental health professional, first of all, it's all bullshit anyway. But second of all, if
mental health in general, or
the stuff in this movie, if I were trying to do anything to help people make change, there is nothing about what this woman's doing that would be effective.
Uh-huh.
So it's stupid. I mean, like, really, forget about that I'm a professional. Just throw that aside for a moment.
Uh-huh.
Just watching a movie and going, so you've got someone who's very smart. Okay, that's somehow a superpower.
Right.
And someone who can, kind of change their personality and some of their physics. So we'll come back to that. And then some guy who's super strong but drowns. Okay, we want to change their personalities and their way of cognitively functioning.
Right.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to stop the one guy from determining his personalities using lights. And we're going to be able to drown a guy. That's it. And the only other real thing and none of that has to do with actually changing anything. Those are just security precautions.
Uh-huh.
And so the only thing that they really do is on the third day, which, by the way, they act like this first day is like a month long.
Right.
Like they make references to how there's 3 days left, like through most of the movie. I'm like, when is this first day going to end?
Right.
And then suddenly it's the last day, and she's like, all right, we're going to have a group meeting. I'm like, wait, you're finally going to talk about stuff.
No, that was day 2. That was day 2 was the group meeting.
Well, that was the only thing they did.
Because day 3 is when she gives Samuel L. Jackson his laser lobotomy.
Right. And so, that thing.
So now everything makes sense.
No. So that's the big intervention. She sits them down in a group together and goes, hey, by the way, I know you guys all fought each other.
Right. Hey, here's this guy who tried to kill you along with 4,000 other people.
Yeah. And so I'm going to have one conversation with you about it. And then we're supposed to believe that their sense of themselves as a super whatever is just shaken. It's dumb. It's really dumb.
I don't know. It seemed pretty by the book to me.
So dumb.
I loved it.
Bruce Willis's character, the arc, there's really no arc. Samuel Jackson's character, there's no arc. And James McAvoy's character, most of what he's doing is introducing himself. Every time he switches characters, he's like, by the way, here's the character I am now.
Uh-huh.
I'm Susan. I'm a 38-year-old lady. I'm James. I work in a zoo. Whatever.
I thought James McAvoy, I thought his performance was great. I know they're just telling him, another character, give us another character. And he's like, okay, I'll be this guy now. Story wise, I thought the story was terrible. But simple. And I'll tell you why I like the story, because it was terrible and simple, is, as you may recall, I'm reading a lot of old comic books from I'm in the 70s now, but I read a lot of 1960s and I'm in 1975 now of, my adventure through Marvel Comics. And this movie felt like it was written for if you took a 1965 comic book and translated it into a very serious film. And it worked for me. It worked perfectly. It took everything that I like about Unbreakable and brought it into today's time. I think Unbreakable is an amazing movie. I think it's great. It doesn't hold up as much as you would like, because it's kind of a product of its time, and it lives.
It's a masterpiece compared to this thing.
But it exists in a time when comic book movies were made differently than they are now, and this movie, it teases a great big giant fight on top of a skyscraper that never happens, and this movie, it's very small, it's very centralized. It takes place in 3 locations. And I don't know why. The whole time I'm watching it, I'm going, this is terrible, but I love it. I loved every second of it up until when they start drowning Bruce Willis, and I was like, something has gone wrong here. Up until I saw the clover tattoo on that sniper's wrist, right when I saw that, I went, oh, here we go. That's when the movie turned for me a little bit.
Well, I'll agree with you on one part of that, and that it's small. Which I don't care. I mean, that actually, I don't care if they fight at the top of a tower. I thought Superman, Man of Steel, and Avengers were boring during their action. I've seen enough of that stuff happening. I don't really need that anyway.
Uh-huh.
But you know what else was small? The room. And this is small. But it just, for me anyway, it did not do anything right. And it's a movie that should be, or seems to be, like it has 2 hours or 2.5 hours, however long it is, to be all about. So it's got 4 feeling hours of just being about the characters, but there's nothing with the characters. Sam Jackson's barely in it and doesn't do anything. Bruce Willis is barely in it and doesn't do anything. What's-his-face is just introducing himself all the time. And his acting's fine. I'm not critiquing anyone's acting. It's really... There's just nothing to this. And then Anya Taylor-Joy, whatever her character's name is, all of a sudden she's got this affinity with the Beast that I think it would make sense for his character to have, but not for her character to have. She hasn't had... It's not like she could have, like, not Munchausen syndrome. What's the Stockholm syndrome?
Right.
You know, like she hasn't had that time to build that sort of bond or get warped in that way. So that there's just nothing there either.
Yeah, I thought that her character was really a waste. Like I didn't need her at all. And in fact, if it wasn't for her, the Beast would have never died. Because like she goes up to the Beast at the end when the sniper is trained on him, and she gets the Beast to turn back into Kevin. And so
I can't believe you're putting me in this position that I'm actually gonna have to defend this fucking movie.
But like,
because that's why. But she's manipulated to be there because the doctor or whatever she is realizes that. She's like, oh, she can calm him down, so he's vulnerable. I better keep her around and convince her to touch him and stuff, so that if we can't turn him back into or turn him into someone who doesn't believe he has superpowers.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that.
Then we can kill him. Which, by the way, just kill them.
Yeah.
Just kill them. I mean, really, is this organization going to go, well, we did send that doctor in for 3 days.
Yeah.
So we're just going to trust that these people aren't going to kill anybody or ever think about being superheroes again.
Also, if you have let's say you're a mental health professional. Let's say you have
bringing it up.
Let's say you have a patient who's known for causing a lot of trouble. Are you going to let him have a glass picture frame in his office or his room?
I think if I were in a position of needing to be concerned about his safety or someone else's and keeping them secure, no. Hospitals don't allow for glass objects in people's rooms.
Right. So that's how Lawrence Fishburne, Samuel L. Jackson makes his escape. I just found a screw on my floor. That's how Samuel Jackson makes his escape. Is he breaks the glass frame that he has and slices the nice guard's throat.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's two orderlies. There's like one orderly who seems nice at the beginning and then threatens to break Mr. Glass's legs. And then there's the other guy who's just kind of like, hey, how are you doing? I'm just happy to, like, are you getting everything you need? Throat sliced. And then Samuel L. Jackson makes his escape. I'm like, oh, that's not right. You should have killed the other guy.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I was going to say something else. I love the movie.
So we got 2 surprise plots when we get to the end of this. One is that this woman works for this Clover organization that is going to kill these people if she can't turn them.
Their job for 10,000 years is to destroy superpowered individuals.
Right. So that's one of the surprise plots. And by the way, there's a big stupid part with that where while Bruce Willis is being murdered, she's like, hey, hold my hand. I want to tell you something.
I want you to see my past, because Bruce Willis's superpower is not only is he super strong and unhurtable, but like if he touches you, he gets a glimpse of your negative past.
Right. And she's like, here, touch my hand because this movie doesn't have enough fucking exposition being explained to the audience. Everything in this movie is so goddamn explained to everybody. It's like, this is the moment of the showdown. This is what we call this thing. M. Night Shyamalan, I think he thinks that people are 3-year-olds. In the audience and the people in the movies, because the other plot line, and this is going to come together here, the other plot line that's a surprise plot is that Samuel Jackson is going to get videos onto YouTube showing these guys lifting a car and bending a piece of metal.
Yeah, it's a flawless plan.
There's nobody who's going to see that and go like, wow, holy shit, that is unheard of. There are all these superheroes. Like, this stuff actually exists. For real.
That's all part of the end of the movie where where it falls apart for me.
And he's expecting people to be shocked. And throughout the movie, and this is what I'm saying, I think this is actually a malfunction in his head, because he expects characters to be shocked, and that's across all of his movies, where they need these things to be explained to them, and everybody's amazed by everything they see. Mm-hmm. And they also have to have it spelled out for them, where they're like, oh, wow, here's what a story is, and here's what plants are like, and bees, and stuff that's actually in this movie. And it's all being explained
Plants
to the
was the
characters
happening.
and to the audience. And there's some Lady in the Water thrown in there, too. But everybody is just so amazed by shit. And I think it's M. Night Shyamalan going, oh, my God, I am putting down the most brilliant stuff. People are going to be amazed, and the characters are going to show the people how to be amazed. And I can explain it for the dumb audience members by explaining it to the dumb people in the movie. And meanwhile, I'm like, no, this just isn't that impressive. It's not creative. It's nothing new. It might be a little bit different in terms of pace, but there's nothing about this that was special. And I really miss, The Sixth Sense. That's it. I'm not even sure how much I miss Unbreakable at this point, but I did really like Unbreakable. And the feeling of this, it took me a while to pinpoint this, but I was like, this dialogue, other than feeling like M. Night Shyamalan dialogue, feels like something. I finally realized that there aren't a ton of long monologues in this movie, but the dialogue still has this feel, and what it is the feeling that you have when you're watching a play and a character has an aside, which is a monologue where they're just talking to the audience. And maybe some of that has to do with the fact that M. Night Shyamalan is trying to spell everything out for the audience as though we are idiots. And that's my take.
I do not disagree with anything you just said. And it's because of everything you just said are the reasons that I like it, because of what I said earlier about how it feels like an old style comic book, where like the character, like there are moments when characters are like how they have thought bubbles and speaking bubbles.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of times where characters are just talking for seemingly no reason, for no reason at all. Like it should be a thought bubble, but for whatever reason it's a speaking bubble. And like the movie does a lot of that stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not a well told story. The story is boring, and I bet if I watch it again I probably won't like it as much. But it really hit me where I needed to go. Like I had a sense of, like, while I was watching the movie, I had a great sense of, I'm enjoying this. This is a lot of fun. I'm excited to see where the characters go. First of all, I'm excited to see anything happen. I like every 5 minutes.
Yeah, I would have been excited if something happened too.
I like it. I like everything James McAvoy's doing. I don't know, I can't stand this doctor lady. Like the movie has like a ton of problems, but like I really like the way it was shot. I like how intimate the movie feels. Like there's like nothing but close-ups in this movie of characters' faces.
Almost like it's the one trick he's got.
Yeah. But there's like a couple of interesting like motion, like during the action where like the camera seemed like it was attached to someone's shoulder, kind of a thing. Like the final confrontation between Bruce Willis and the Beast. the way it was shot, at first I was like, why does it look like this? Why is it shot from so far away and from all these funky angles? Because that's how I talk now. I say angles.
Funky angles.
And you're like, oh, we're seeing this from like the security camera's point of view. And I was like, well, that's kind of interesting, like an interesting way to present an action sequence. And like a lot of wide shots, like this shot of the Beast running towards Bruce Willis, where he's doing that weird animal run thing,
which looked terrible.
I thought it looked bad, but I liked it at the same time.
Looked better when Liv Schreiber was doing it in the Wolverine.
I disagree with that. I think it looked better than that, but I hadn't put that together till you just said that. I forgot about that. But yeah, I liked this movie. I thought it was fun. It was kind of a throwback. I liked Mr. Glass's costume when he finally put it on, how he had like the MG on his ascot or whatever that was. Because that's what old comic book characters did. Like everybody had like a letter on their chest. Like if you were like, I just read an X-Men comic today, where the bad guy's name is Count Nefario. And you're like, come on, you can't do any better than Count Nefario. And it's just it's so corny and so cheesy that like the villain of the movie wears his name on his, like his initials on his chest like that. And I just liked it.
All those things, I feel like, having not liked it, that all those things you're pointing out, I'm like, any of those could have been great if the content was any good. Like, they're not bad ideas to go like, hey, let me amp up the cheese feel of like old timey stuff. Let me, have this feel like thought bubbles and stuff. I don't think those are bad ideas. I just think nothing was executed well. And I honestly, there's the part of me that wants you to agree with me, wants you to watch it again and to have that experience and go like, oh man, the stuff that fills these bubbles is shit. And like this idea isn't done that well. And even when it comes to the cinematography, I think if you were to look at the cinematography here and compare it to the cinematography in like Unbreakable, I think it's far below that. But I kind of don't want you, because I don't want you to not enjoy something, and I don't want you to go back and have that experience where you go, oh, you know what? Now that the idea of having a thought bubble here, I already have had the satisfaction of seeing the idea happen, and now I'm left with what's actually within the idea.
Uh-huh.
I feel like you'd be disappointed.
You might be right.
But I don't even want to be right. Like, I if you ever do watch it again, I hope you enjoy it just as much. But I feel like you wouldn't. And so I don't want you to ever watch it again. I also don't want to do a commentary on it, so I don't want to watch it again.
That's what's going to happen.
Wow. I am surprised. I was really expecting. I almost sent you a text when you said that you saw it.
Uh-huh.
I almost, and then you said you had a lot to say. I almost said, oh man, yeah, spoiler alert, it sucked, but we can record it whenever we get a chance.
I'm glad you did, because that reveal was amazing.
Well, at least there's one good reveal in the last 24 hours.
What are you talking about? Roger Stone went to jail earlier today.
That's true.
For about 3 minutes.
Did he get back out?
He's on bail, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Glass, check it out. So that brings us to the final segment on our supersized episode.
Lord. I forgot about trying to put this somewhere on this list.
You spend some time thinking about it while
I will have to.
So my list. I think in the new number one spot, I'm going to put The Matrix above Apollo 13, week 100. And then what else did I see? I saw Wreck-It Ralph, which I'm going to say was better than Iron Man 3. That's going to take the new number 9 spot. No, you know what? No, I changed my mind. It's going to go, it was better than Once Upon a Time in America into the new number 8 spot. Wreck-It Ralph. Week 100. And I don't know how to delete an old line. I'll figure it out later. And then Reign of the Supermen, I'm going to put above Venom in the new, well, I guess 19 or 20 spot, because there's a blank line up earlier in the list. So I'm going to write, come on, Reign of the Supermen into week 100. And then for Glass, I think I'm going to put Glass. Oh, above Teen Titans Go to the Movies and underneath Outlaw King in the new 15 spot, or 14, however you want to look at it. Glass, week 100. Oh, not week 10. People love the sounds of me typing. It's a lot of feedback we've gotten is people love it when I spell out exactly what I'm writing.
Oh, well, I'm glad they enjoy the miscellaneous things that happen. So we should have left in that half hour of poorly executed
Poor audio quality.
Audio and attempts to explain the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Sorry about last week, everybody. Harry Potter Corner was a disaster. Luckily, it wasn't sponsored by anyone. But if you would like to sponsor it, check out us on Patreon. Find a link at thisweekinfilm.com. Matt, where would you put Glass?
I struggle with this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll have to explain why it's going where it is. I'm putting Glass under Contagion.
What?
And that is...
You're saying that Glass was worse than After Earth?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't struggle with that at all.
Oh, man.
I enjoyed watching After Earth.
Just so Glass is going into your number 18 spot.
Is that right? Okay.
Yep.
18. Yeah, I didn't struggle about
Contagion and Possession of Hannah Gray. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Well, and here's some of why. It didn't piss me off as much as Contagion did, because it does irritate me that M. Night Shyamalan thinks he's so great. Because I'm dead serious when I say that I think that he thinks people are stupid.
His cameo in Glass is the most infuriating thing to watch.
I mean, other than putting himself in the God or the Jesus position like he did in Lady in the Water.
Oh,
yeah,
I forgot about that.
That one had more hubris. The pretension, that would piss me off a lot. But yeah, this was just bad and dumb. And I don't know. I guess it's supposed to retcon something because he showed up in Split, and it's like, hey, wait a minute, you're a drug dealer in the other movie. And that's him going, oh yeah, once upon a time I was a drug dealer, then I got better. Which I was like, yeah, that's a normal conversation for someone to have. Hey, guy I saw once 15 years ago, didn't you work in that place that I probably wouldn't have noticed you in, really? All right, yeah, I remember you. By the way, I know you were suspicious of me. I was up to no good then. I've turned myself around.
You were right to detain me.
These are the conversations that M. Night Shyamalan thinks are, I don't know, believable or whatever.
Right.
But I think my point was supposed to be that it didn't piss me off as much as Contagion. But it did disappoint me more. with Contagion, I was just like, okay, I wasn't exactly bored like I was with Glass.
Uh-huh.
And I wasn't as disappointed. And I do think it was probably a better movie. So for those reasons, Contagion gets to be one slot higher. And that I guess that's my explanation of that.
Okay.
So yep, Glass is going way down there, and After Earth stays where it is because I enjoyed watching it more than I enjoyed watching Contagion, Glass, Possession of Hannah Grace, or Aquaman.
All right then. Well, it's your list. Well, Matt, it's the end of a very long show. Have you anything to plug?
I would say go check out on YouTube. Screen Rant has these videos from a guy that they call pitch meetings. And it's this guy talking to himself, pretending to be a studio executive and a writer. And the writer is pitching a movie to the studio executive. And he takes, I think there are about 100 of these videos.
Oh, are there that many? You just sent me the one the other day about Aquaman.
Yeah.
And that was great.
Yeah, he's got them on there for like Glass and Unbreakable and stuff too, so you can even check those specific ones out if you want.
Okay.
But oh man, they are easy to binge. And there's something about this guy that I'm like, man, I just want to hang out with this guy. He seems fun.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I recommend those to movie watchers.
All right. And then I would say check us out on Facebook, Instagram. You can go to thisweekinfilm.com. I've started updating that again. We're all caught up as far as the weeks go, but I'm still adding the individual movies from 40 weeks ago. So, bear with us. But if you want to get in touch with us, you can find us on the social media or thisweekinfilm.com will take you to all of our stuff directly. But I guess if that's the end of the reel, we'll see you next week in film.
See you then.
Yay, 100 episodes.